Francis Ngannou continues to prove everyone wrong. What an absolutely unbelievable performance from Francis Ngannou, and ever since I made this video, Francis has continued to prove me wrong, and I'm genuinely so happy that he is. So let's cut this intro short, and let's get into the round by round breakdown of this fight to see who truly won, and let's get some key takeaways from, again, an unbelievable performance. So I'm going to try to score this fight as best I can according to the official scoring criteria of boxing. I've made a couple videos detailing the problems with boxing's very subjective scoring criteria, but those are the official rules, so we're going with them in this fight. So boxing has 4 major scoring criteria: hard, clean punches, defense, effective aggression, and ring generalship. First one, pretty self-explanatory: hard, clean punches, who landed punches that damaged and landed clean. Defense, another pretty straightforward one: who was able to defend punches better, so basically who slipped, parried, and blocked punches more effectively. The next 2 scoring criteria are less straightforward and in my opinion should be removed from the scoring criteria as a whole because they're very subjective and can sometimes be redundant or overlap other scoring criteria. But anyways, effective aggression, the next scoring criterion, refers to who is landing more shots, pushing the pace, moving forward, and not getting countered, which again kind of overlaps hard, clean punches and defense, but whatever. Next, and finally, we have ring generalship, which is by far the most subjective of the bunch, but is essentially who is enforcing their style on the fight. And in this case, we would have to gauge in each round if Francis was enforcing his style of backing up Fury and landing damaging big shots, or if Fury was more so outboxing Francis, jabbing and running laps around the puncher. So without further ado, let's start with round 1. Though this wasn't a particularly eventful round, it was a very telling and surprising round from Francis that would foreshadow what was to come. Fury started off like we expected, sending 1-2s down the middle early anytime he sensed Francis coming in. Francis briefly got Fury to the ropes early with a 1-1-2, but Fury kept his composure and got off the ropes. Fury continued to pop Francis with the jab, controlled distance, and really was enforcing his ring generalship, or essentially his style. But again, Francis stayed composed and popped his jab and never really swung for the fences like we would have thought. But easily the biggest moment in this round was when Fury shot a 1-2 down the pipe as Francis tried to loop a left hook that we'll see later in this fight, obviously. But there was no question to this round. Fury takes this one easily. Now we get into the first really close round. The second round continues with Fury distance managing and controlling Francis with the jab. Then in the middle of the round, as Fury dipped his head for a jab, Francis caught him with a well-placed left hook that cut open Fury and backed him to the corner. After, the two would get tied up in a clinch, and Francis easily got a better of this exchange, landing a couple short right hands. And then we get a nice stance switch by Francis, which leads to Fury following suit. In this stance, Fury lands a lead hook to the body followed by a left over the top, a couple body jabs by Fury, then a clinch initiated by Fury. First one completely hugging Francis, preventing him from punching, though the second one Francis was able to control and land a solid uppercut. Though Fury would adjust his clinch and fully hug Francis, closing this round off. This was a very close round, especially when it came to the punch stats, with Fury landing 7 of 25 and Francis landing 6 of 19. With the punch stats being so close and the defense of those punches being very close, we have to go to the other criteria, and there's a solid case for Francis being the ring general and showing effective aggression. Francis pushed the pace, and when he landed by far the biggest shot in this round, he made Fury visibly uncomfortable, and when Francis switched stances, he forced Fury to do the same. And again, what I really liked coming out of Ngannou in this round, and essentially the whole fight, was that he was able to take away Fury's best weapon, or at least one of his best weapons, which is his clinch, and control him in most exchanges. Though it was a very close round, I'm gonna give the edge to Francis Ngannou due to his effective aggression and especially his ring generalship enforcing his style on Fury. Now we get into some real action with round 3. Francis Ngannou opens up this round, immediately putting the pressure, landing a solid double jab. Then Francis comes in beautifully with another double jab, then followed by a right hand, and then followed by a left hook that caught Fury off guard. Then there was a lot of pawing with the jabs, with Fury switching to southpaw and Francis staying orthodox, and then madness would ensue as Fury would start firing off 1-2s, with his second 1-2 being countered by Francis. Francis executed this counter perfectly, as Fury has a horrible habit of firing 1-2s, staying in the pocket, and sometimes not bringing them back to his guard or not being quick enough to roll or go under those punches. And Fury got his ass dropped bad. This was a huge momentum shifter in the fight, and this round was a complete domination outside of that knockdown as well. Fury only landed 1 punch to Ngannou's huge 7 punches and easily took this round with a 10-8. Momentum and confidence is on Francis' side in the beginning of the 4th as he pushes Fury back with another 1-1-2. He also gets a nice 1-2 to the body right under Tyson's left hook. And then a bunch of clinches were initiated by Tyson Fury. Nothing really happens. Fury momentarily pushes back Francis into the corner, but Francis' strength pushes back Fury and reverses the position with now Fury in the corner. Neither man really landed in these exchanges, but the simple fact that Francis reversed who was getting backed up was huge. Granted, Fury gets off the ropes very quickly and lands a 1-2 that really glances, and Fury continues to keep the fight in the middle and land straight punches as Francis tried to find a counter again. Technically, Francis held the advantage in this round according to CompuBox, but I still think Fury landed the harder, cleaner punches, especially with those straight punches towards the end, and because of that, I'm giving this very, very close round to Fury. Francis Ngannou in the beginning of this round would start to open up his offense and swing wide, but credit to Tyson Fury, he would defend very well. Fury starts mixing up his jab, and as Francis marched forward to close the distance, Fury caught Francis with a great straight right hand on the top of Francis' head. Nothing eventful would follow in the middle of the round, just a series of Fury landing his jabs and clinching. Then ending the round, Fury would really find his mark with a quick 1-2 and not let Francis this time counter with his left hook, and then another 1-2 with the same effect, and this time rolling the left hook counter. Easy Fury round. Round 6 was a continuation of sticking and moving from Fury. Fury was really circling Francis, but credit to Francis, he was staying in front of Fury for most of these exchanges and landing a couple great lead hand body hooks. Francis continued to walk forward, but Fury continued to evade. But towards the end of this round, a little controversy would ensue as Francis backed up Fury to the corner and elbowed Francis as he tried to land another 1-2, but Francis ate it like a beast and kept walking forward instead of complaining. Now, a lot of Francis supporters are saying this should have been a point deduction, but this is clearly not a point deduction based historically on how point deductions occur in boxing. Usually when something like this is caught by the ref, there's a warning, and then if it's done again, especially intentionally, that's where the deduction happens. Anyways, besides that little moment, Fury, I think, easily won this round. Then we get back into incredibly close rounds. Francis comes in aggressive again, this time in the southpaw stance in the 7th, and lands a huge rear left hand on top of Fury's head. Francis then momentarily backs up Fury with a sweeping left hand and keeps the pace up with a 1-2 to Fury's body. Fury would then answer to Francis's aggression with 3 right hands and a goddamn double leg attempt of a clinch. This round was super close, with the punch stats also reflecting that, but the difference maker to me was Francis's effective aggression. He was backing up Fury and closing the ring on him, forcing him to get overly aggressive to try to get out. I thought Francis really dictated this round, and though landed the same amount of shots, I thought Francis landed the harder shots. With that, I'm giving this round to Francis. Moving to the 8th, Francis would open up again with pressure and a good double left hand out of the southpaw position, and definitely had an effect on Fury, forcing him to clinch. Fury would come back with a couple jabs and clinches, but the momentum would shift towards Francis as he landed a big combination that started with a jab, a right hand, followed by another big right hand, a solid left hook, and then another right hand. Francis would try again with those wide hooks, and Fury would come under the clinch, but credit to Francis again for working so well in these clinches, never letting Fury stop him from punching. Francis would keep his left forearm on Fury's neck and prevent him from completely bear hugging him, simultaneously uppercutting him with his right hand. The clinch breaks and Fury lands a right hand, but Francis eats it, grabs Fury's head with his left hand, lands a good right hand, and then bounces off the ropes, landing a strong left hook and another right hand. Again, Fury would try to clinch, but Francis would deny him while landing those short right hands. And in this exchange, Fury would look absolutely exhausted, which if you told me Fury would be the one gassing out in the 8th, I would have fucking screamed. Big round by Francis, and obviously I'm giving it to him. And this is where the production would really slip for Francis, with him stalking Fury but not really throwing. Fury would continue to move well and maintain distance, never letting Francis do anything offensively. Nothing really to know here other than Fury was boxing smarter than the previous rounds, but he really could have capitalized even more on an inactive Francis Ngannou in this round. But Fury still takes the 9th. Round 10 was more of the same, stalking and inactivity from Francis, but in the same vein, a disappointing output from Fury as well, just putting the jab out there and not stepping on the gas. Only thing worth noting in this round is Francis trying to Superman punch, which was sick, but with limited activity from both fighters, I think Fury kind of edged this round. And then we come down to the final score. I have it 95-94 to Tyson Fury, which is a huge surprise to me because, like most, I thought Francis Ngannou won convincingly the first time I watched, but I have since rewatched this fight twice and I still come down with the same conclusion. But the actual scorecard doesn't matter. The mere fact that this was even close means that Francis Ngannou won, and boxing as a sport has lost. I'm not going to pull my punches on this next segment, so boxing fans, you may have thought this video was a pro boxing video and vindicated Fury winning, but it is far from it. This was an absolute embarrassment for the entire sport of boxing in terms of how the sport is promoted, how each event is produced, and now the skill level of the fighters at a professional level. I have talked about the many problems with boxing, from padded records to boxing politics to the best not fighting the best, the multiple belts, etc, etc, etc. And really, the two things boxing fans have held so long over MMA was that, one, boxers get paid more, which is cool and all, but because boxers get paid more than most MMA fighters, doesn't do anything for the fans. If anything, it hurts fans because when boxers get paid a lot for doing so little, they're not really incentivized to fight anyone. And two, there's this notion that boxing holds the better combat sports athletes under their rules. Tonight, you can't definitively say that anymore. This night, an MMA fighter with no prior professional boxing experience, who's not even known for his technical striking in MMA, came in against the quote-unquote best heavyweight boxer in the world and made it close. I know this is heavyweight boxing, where the skill level is vastly different from the lower weight classes, and I would say at these lower weight classes, most professional MMA fighters would lose to professional boxers, but after this fight, the gap is much smaller than what we may have thought before, and that's disappointing for a sport that already has so many things to complain about. And another problem this event inexplicitly showed was how terrible these events are produced. No one cares about the spectacle Saudi Arabia tried to produce. We as fans just want to see the main fight, and in boxing, it takes a shitty undercard, a concert no one even wanted, and 3 national anthems to get there. Again, there is no more argument. The UFC, which is essentially the gold standard of MMA as a whole, and even some other MMA promotions, completely clear most boxing promotions, if not all, in practically every aspect besides maybe fighter pay. And this isn't meant to be an attack to boxing fans, but it's just a wake-up call. Boxing sucks right now, and the state of boxing is at an all-time low in my opinion. So boxing fans, I'm sorry for your loss. I truly am. But the good news is you can always join the UFC and MMA side if you haven't already. There should be a really good event next week. It should be all striking. I know you guys hate grappling, and there's not going to be a bunch of bullshit to get to a sick main event. So again, sorry that boxing sucks. MMA fans knew this, but hopefully after this fight, boxing fans can realize this for themselves as well. So this concludes a very long video because it was a breakdown and also a personal rant on the back half of this video. But as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you next week. And also thank you for 100K. Peace.